Today I have with me Markie Miller from Danberry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Could you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and, maybe how you got in the industry, that type of thing?
Yeah, so I live now in West Toledo, but I grew up in Lambertville, Michigan. So I've always called Toledo home. Um, Went to high school at Notre Dame, graduated from UT. I have a master's in environmental science. So I've always been very involved in environmental work locally.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of where my passion was. And I always, I tried to pursue some of that as a career, but I found that I enjoyed it more on my own time, on my own terms, and as a hobby. So
Not as a job.
not as a job. Yeah, it changed it for me. So I kind of stepped back from that and was in the nonprofit world for a long time, doing some
Oh,
development and fundraising, grant writing, things like that.
oh wow.
So
What kind of work did you do in the nonprofit area?
so almost specifically grant writing, some organizing around environmental advocacy, policy, developmental disabilities. So the all over the place with
Have you ever thought about environmental law?
I have, but I think for me there was so much contradiction with what I wanted to do. It was more I wanted to focus on let's work on changing the law rather than using the law. So
Oh,
for
that's
me, the advocacy was I don't use it.
government then.
Yeah,
Something like your
one thing at a time. So, but yeah, so I've always kind of been in that field and in that world. So, I actually was part of the group that passed the Lake Erie Bill of Rights here in Toledo. So,
is that with the drainage stuff for
somewhat, yeah. So it actually gave legal personhood status to Lake Erie. So we gave legal rights, or at least I was like I said, we recognized legal rights of Lake Erie so that it could be part of a lawsuit, so that we could actually use those laws, not just at the harm that happened to us, or the harm that was happening to the ecosystem itself. So that's where from that law stuff came in, where we'll change the law and then maybe we'll go that
What
route.
was that like, the process?
It was probably, it was exhausting. There was a lot of hard work.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And we were all volunteers for there. But it was really rewarding and
That's cool that
it was really cool. Yeah.
have that tied to your name now.
Yeah. It was something that I wouldn't change anything if I had to do it again. I got a lot of cool opportunities out of it. I spoke at the United Nations. I was on the Daily Show, like fun, fun stuff like that. Yeah. So
I'm learning all this.
little things that
You're,
like I
you're famous. I didn't know
brag about that here and there, but
the Daily Show.
it was really
What
cool.
was that like?
There was so much fun. It was so much fun. Michael Costa came here. He's from Ann Arbor, so he was very involved in like the Great Lakes issues, and he actually heard about us and was someone who said, "I want to go do that story." So that was really cool.
Yeah,
They were just fun to
like really
wear.
proud. At that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think just recognition for what the whole group was doing was just really cool that we were a question on Jeopardy. So we started seeing these things. We're like, oh, it's not just this local,
Yeah,
thing going on.
got national
It's
attention.
growing. It's growing. So it was really cool. And we were part of some groups that were in multiple states and, worked with people in other countries. So it was really cool to kind of see, hey, we know what's going on. We see the struggle you guys are going through.
Yeah.
We know what's most likely going to happen, but we want to do this too. And so it's still growing, it's still moving, and you see it all over the
Wow.
world.
And you kind of
Yeah.
started that.
Well, I think I jumped in. I like to say that there was so much work going on before we did it. So they laid the foundation.
Sure.
And a lot of the court cases and the movements and all those things that came before our group started opened the door for us because it had been through the court system so many times that it was chipping away each time. So
Yeah.
when we got there, we broke through a little bit,
Yeah.
so
Every bit helps.
yeah, so we added to the foundation that was there.
Was there something in your life that kind of flipped a switch for you where you're like, okay, this speaks to me?
Yeah, actually, I was a grad student in environmental science, and the thing that switched it for me was we were told to go to this protest And I was all excited. I was like, "This is my first protest. I can't wait to go do this. Like, I'm gonna be legit."
It sounds like there's a vein of rebellion in it.
Yeah, coming out. So, we went to this, like, we're gonna go to the ODNR. They're having a whole thing about the injection well. I'm like, let's do it. And we get there, and the signs were like, we demand a public hearing. I'm like, is that it? Can we demand a little more?
I,
You know?
sounds like you were born in the wrong generation.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm saying like 60s, 70s,
For sure.
revolution type talk. Yeah, that's
So,
awesome.
that was kind of like, oh, this was not as exciting as I wanted it to be. And then my program was like, hey, there's internships available at the places we've been telling you to go protest. I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. You want me to kind of work against them, but then that's the career path that you're setting me up for.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, we're going to learn about the environmental movement and we're going to learn about this. And then we're going to hand you the exact same tools that you've been given for the last 5 decades. So I'm like, we might need a different tool here. And so when I started getting into rights of nature, that's when things changed for me that, it's not me that's just not fitting in. Like, I think this part of the movement has sort of run its course and now it's time for a different path. So,
Yeah.
that's something that's built on like traditional indigenous knowledge. And so it's also hard to make sure that that's being recognized in that as well, so that we're not just saying like, oh, we came up with this idea, we're so great. So it's a very dynamic, robust movement that, the ecosystem, those rights vary. They're not a cookie cutter thing.
Sounds
The rights of a lake and a forest and a mountain, they're all different.
it sounds like it's very up. It's like a very uphill battle of changing stuff that
Oh, for
put in
sure.
place for years, if not decade.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's rewarding,
Yeah.
So I enjoyed the fight, and it was really fun to be able to do that. And,
And that's cool.
you know,
And you got on the Daily Show. That's pretty cool.
yeah. Yeah. It's like on my resume, put on the bottom, like, oh, also, I was on this TV show one time.
TV celebrity. Should say it's TV celebrity.
It's one of my references. You asked for references. Cause call Trevor Noah. It's fine.
Contrast.
He'll know.
You'll know. So why real estate? How did you transition from activist to real estate? That's interesting.
Yeah, I needed a change. I was ready for a change. The nonprofit space is very demanding. I mean, it's rewarding, but it's a lot, and there's a lot of pressure of, we got this funding, time to get the next one. So I think years and years of advocacy and going through that, I was ready for something a little bit different.
Sure. Right.
That's what I love about real estate, though, is that I have the flexibility in my schedule, but I still get the advocacy part of that. So
You're advocating for it, dear.
for my clients, yeah, absolutely. And I think especially now, like,
Right. Very good trait to have in an agent.
yes. So, it can be easy to say, look, we'll just write the best deal for the seller and stuff, but you have to maintain some of that for your buyers.
Yeah.
Protect them, especially now. It's a really hard time to buy, and being a buyer, so just a lot expected from you up front. So, you need someone in your corner that's looking out for you, and even outside of the deal, just you get excited. Oh, look at this house, and we're looking around. I'm like, let's check under the cabinets. Let's look at the floor. You want to look at all the issues that could be there,
Right.
even though as a buyer you're excited and you're picking out paint color.
Part of your job, yeah. It's part of your job to de-escalate a little the
Oh,
enthusiasm.
absolutely. I mean, it's up and down though, right? So one minute you're super excited because you got the offer, you love the house, and then you get the inspection report, and you gotta hold it together, So I'm like, oh, this is still exhausting. I don't know why I thought it'd be a little bit of a break, but in a smaller scale, and I really like that one-on-one
Yeah.
interaction
Yeah.
with people.
I can see you actually doing real estate. It makes a lot of sense actually because you're constantly fighting for something, and it's I think it's the little victories with real estate that kind of,
Yeah.
do it for you a little bit.
Keep you going.
Yeah, keep you going. Yeah, those little wins,
Yeah.
and I think, so I can see you in that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and, it's also just the little moments you have with your client of, like,
Yeah.
trying to listen, go, "Okay, if we get to the closing table, like, what's something you might want or need?" Like, trying to do things that are gonna make it feel like this was for them and not just, "Hey, here's the process, we're gonna go through this is how it's gonna be."
Yeah.
Really giving them that time so that they feel like, "Oh, yeah, this is my agent, and they're working for me, with me,
Yeah.
every step of the way."
Well,
So
knowing the advocacy part about you is, that would sell me. 'Cause
tell
she's a
everything.
barracuda that she
You want me on your
I
side.
now want her fighting against you. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So, what can people expect when they work with you? Can you walk us through a process of what
Sure.
that's like?
So my biggest thing is really focusing on communication.
Mhm.
I wanna know, um,
Yeah,
if things change, if what you're looking for changes, if you're feeling frustrated or upset, like, I wanna know those things up front and not have you tell me one thing and then, tell your friends like, "Oh, I'm so annoyed, I'm frustrated." Like, let's work through that together.
yeah,
That's kind of my biggest issue, and just getting that initial sort of consultation down to lay out the expectations both for me and for them. Like, it's okay if you're looking on Zillow and sending me things. Like, I'm gonna send you stuff, but I want you to send me things as well. And
yeah,
you might tell me these are the things I'm looking for, and then what we buy is not gonna match any of that at all. So
yeah. It's setting the
understanding that it's a dynamic process, it's going to change. There's gonna be ups and downs. Walking them through what the expectations are of, you know, once you go under contract, that's when we're gonna shift gears and
yeah,
the work's going to change and this is what we'll have to do. And you're going to be very deadline focused and keeping things on track. So,
yeah,
anything I can do if it's even picking up the earnest money and dropping it off, like little things like that. So it's one less thing they have to worry about finding where places are and knowing what to do and going through all of that. So, my biggest thing is just making sure I'm as available as I can be for people. I'm answering questions, and just building that relationship that way. I want them to feel like they can trust me with, anything that comes up and not feel like, "Oh, I don't wanna move forward with this anymore," and not wanna tell me or, whatever that's going to be.
oh yeah, absolutely. Is there something that surprised you about the industry, that you weren't expecting before you got into it?
I was really surprised going through the licensing process that it was all like, "Here's what you don't do." And I'm like, "Great." And then day 1, I'm like, where do I start? What do I do?" So, it was a little bit of a weird process of getting into the career,
Sure.
where it felt kind of backwards of, you gotta pick your broker and sign up before you even take your test. Like,
Yeah,
it felt like they were
yeah.
doing things in the wrong order
I agree with
in
you.
some way.
I agree with you.
Yeah, it was kinda like, how do I know?
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect from the job yet. I don't know what is expected from me. So that's where like I'm on a team. So working with Jeremy Wolf
Mhm.
um was amazing because it really was someone I could lean on to get started and
Yeah.
okay, what do we do? In day 1 and anytime I have questions, I have someone I can go to. So that's been really great, and I honestly don't know how people get started without somebody like that.
Yeah.
Whether it's an official team or just some kind of mentor, I feel like it's a necessity to really get started and do well
Yeah.
in your first couple years.
Yeah, absolutely. That was actually my next question was, what is the greatest piece of advice you could probably give someone new? And I think he answered it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. If a team structure is not for you, find somebody that's willing to give you some of that mentorship that you can lean on because you want also the consistency of the advice. So if I go and ask 10 different people, I'm probably going to get 10 different answers. So, knowing like, okay, Jeremy and I are going to work well together. We're going to be consistent as a team. So having that point person to go to is great. But also, one of my favorite things about working with Jeremy is that he has been an advocate for me without me having to ask. No. So if something comes up and I'm like, hey, this happened. Is this normal? Is this how it no, let me go make a phone call. So he steps in and like having somebody in your corner like that
Yeah.
is great. And I feel like I have that from the leadership in my brokerage, but just having that point person that I can be like, "Hey, is this normal? Is this okay? Like this is what the person said.
Is it like
Did I do something wrong here or something?" So, like that definitely has been a big benefit.
and how did you get partnered up with Jeremy? How did you
I actually knew him previously through BNI type networking.
yeah.
And when I told him like, "Hey, I'm not in this job anymore," he was immediately like, "Oh, you got to come to real estate."
Sure.
I thought, "Well, that's crazy. That's a crazy shift from what I was doing to this. There's no way that's going to work." And he's like, "Nope, you've got the personality for it. I think you've got the work ethic for it, and I think you'd be great." And I'm like, "Give me a week or two to think about it." And I was like,
So you
why not, dude? I'm supposed to do it. No, it just was like an opportunity that came up, and I thought, well, this might be the craziest thing I've ever done, and that's hard to say as someone who helped give a lake legal rights. So, I'm like, let's do it.
yeah, it's well, nothing should be impossible for you.
Right.
So awesome. Well, Marky, thank you so much for coming on. And how do people get in touch with you if they want to do business with you?
So you can go to markiemiller.danberry.com. You can find me on Facebook, Markie Miller Vanberry Realtors, and also Instagram is markie.419.
Perfect. It's been so great having you on and learning all this information about you guys. And your belly. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.